Have you ever just looked around and felt like there's some kind of hidden rule running the whole show? You know, a secret pattern that explains why a few things get massively successful while pretty much everything else doesn't? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that exact pattern. And trust me, once you see it, you will start noticing it absolutely everywhere.
So let's kick things off with a bit of a mystery. I want you to just think for a second about some of the wild imbalances you see every single day. Things that, when you really look at them, just don't seem to make a whole lot of sense.
All right, first up, movies. I mean, think about it. Thousands upon thousands of films get made every single year. So why is it that a tiny handful of blockbusters, you know the ones, end up making almost all the money and getting all the attention?
Or hey, let's bring it closer to home. Your music playlist. You've probably got hundreds, maybe even thousands of songs saved, right? But if you're being honest with yourself, don't you find yourself hitting play on the same small group of favorites over and over and over again? That favorite 20% of your songs probably gets, what, 80% of your listening time?
And it's the exact same story online. Billions, with a B, of posts and videos get shared every day. And yet, a tiny, almost invisible fraction of them go viral and are seen by millions of people, while the huge majority just kind of disappears. What is going on here?
Well, here's the thing. These aren't just random coincidences. Blockbuster movies, your go-to playlist, that viral cat video, all these things that seem so different, they're all being driven by the exact same incredibly powerful hidden rule. And that rule, it has a name. It's called the power law. And this is the key that unlocks the mystery of why our world is so full of these extreme, lopsided, totally unequal outcomes. So what in the world is a power law? Well, put simply, it's just a relationship where a very small number of things, the inputs, are responsible for a hugely disproportionate amount of the results, or the outputs. You can think of it as nature's law of unfair advantages. But let's just cut through all the technical jargon for a second. The one thing you need to remember is this. A few things create a very, very big impact. It's the ultimate less is more idea, but on steroids. Now, this is so different from how we usually think the world works, right? We're all taught about the bell curve, the normal distribution, where most things are just kind of average. But in a power law world, average is pretty much useless. Instead, what you get is this long, flat tail of tiny results, and then a few massive spikes, these giant, game-changing outliers. It turns out reality is incredibly lopsided. Okay, so that's the theory, and it's pretty fascinating stuff. But let's get practical. Where does this rule actually show up in the real world? Well, once you start looking for it, you'll see it's everywhere. Let's start with the world of business. It's like a perfect laboratory for seeing power laws in action.
In just about any company you can think of, there's usually one superstar product that brings in the lion's share of the money. Same goes for customers. A small group of loyal, whale clients are usually responsible for most of the sales. And if you've ever worked in marketing, you know this one for sure. One or two channels will bring in almost all your good leads, while the others just waste your time and money.
And hey, if you really want to see power laws turned up to 11, you just have to look at the internet.
I mean, there are more than 1 billion websites out there, but a tiny handful, you know, your Googles, your YouTubes, your Amazons, they get almost all of the traffic. It's the same for creators, right? A super small percentage of YouTubers have millions of subscribers, while most struggle to get 100. And just look at your phone. You've got dozens of apps, but I bet you use the same 5 or 6 every single day. That, my friends, is the power law.
Okay, so we've established this rule is everywhere. It's powerful. But so what? Why does any of this actually matter to you? Well, this is where understanding the power law stops being interesting trivia and becomes a seriously practical tool for your own life. You can actually use this principle to get incredible results. It's a simple 3-step process. Step 1, identify. You have to figure out what those vital few activities are that are creating 80% of your results. Step 2, focus. Once you know what they are, you go all in. You pour your best time, your best energy, your best resources into them. And step 3, which is honestly the hardest part, reduce. You have to be ruthless about cutting out or stopping the trivial many, that 80% of stuff you do that barely makes a difference. At the end of the day, this all comes down to a really powerful shift in how you think. Success isn't about hustle and grind and just doing more. It's about having the clarity to do more of what actually works. It's about finding that one lever that moves the biggest rock and then putting all your weight on it.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final, and I think pretty powerful question to chew on.
I want you to take a serious look at everything, your job, your relationships, your health, how you learn, and ask yourself this question. What is my 20%? What are the handful of things that if I really focused on them would create 80% of the happiness and success that I'm looking for? And you know, the real challenge isn't just figuring out the answer. It's having the guts to actually act on it. Thanks for tuning in.